In this episode, we talked to a gentleman out of Michigan who has created a framework from his years of experience as an entrepreneur, six-figure entrepreneur to that. And he really wants to help other entrepreneurs and small business owners to really own in on their difference. And I can't wait for you to hear this little conversation with my good friend Shane out of Michigan. Before we do so, though, subscribe to our podcast. Give us a rating. Let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear from you so that we can continue to provide you with good quality content. So let's dive right in talking to Shane out of Michigan. Shane, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you. How are you?
Ricardo, thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. And I know you're in Chicago there, and I hope you're enjoying the weather or trying to escape out to Miami these days.
I'm actually about an hour outside of Detroit, but yes, I would love to come down south soon.
Nice. Detroit it is. My bad. All right, man. Well, my listeners want to know who you are and what we do. So why don't we start with that?
So I'm an entrepreneur. I live in Linden, Michigan. I've got a couple businesses, and I love all things business. I love providing value, creating value. I love talking business. So I'm excited.
Awesome. And talk to us a little about how did you get to this point as an entrepreneur? Have you always been an entrepreneur? How did you get here? What's the journey looking like?
No, actually. So when I got out of college, I worked so many dead-end jobs, landscaping and, just working a shovel. And, I just felt like so empty. Technically I'm an adult, I'm out of school, and I just felt like I was meant for so much more. And because everything I had done up to that, I'd thrown myself into sports, in music, and just been really passionate about those things. But all of a sudden it was like, all right, like, what do I do? And I kind of like floundered. And it wasn't until someone really gave me the encouragement to go start an LLC that it was like, oh my gosh, like, this is it. Like, this is what I was, even though it sucked, that those early times of just grinding, trying to work up business. I'm like, this is what I was meant to do.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome, man. And so we're going to be talking about a framework that you've created today, and I want us to dive deep into it. So tell us about this thing that you've built. What is it? And give us some details on this.
Well, a lot of it really started with my first business. I went all in on what I later learned was an extremely cutthroat industry. And my first full year in business, I had this six-figure year. I had paid off my student loans and my business loans, and I was just on top of the world. But the thing about when you make a six-figure dent in a tiny niche market, there was a ripple effect. And all of a sudden, going into year two, I was on all of my competitors' radar, and things went from being really awesome to really not awesome. And people would just start being really weird to me. I'd take a deposit and schedule a job, and all of a sudden she'd call back and go, you know what, Shane, we're no longer interested in working with you. And it just got to be really weird. People would just be weird to me. They would just treat me bad. My business, my financially just started to got cut in half. And all of a sudden someone said it to me. They said, hey, such and such business just said this about you, is this true? And it's like, all right, there it is. And that's when I had to really batten down the hatches and just dig deep daily, and a lot of times, it's easy to make excuses or point to this or that, but really those obstacles are the things that can define you, and your interpretation of them and the way you choose to handle them. It's really just a gift in disguise.
Nice. So this caused you to create this framework. So explain to us, what is it really that you've put together from all these years of experience that you've had?
So yeah, for years I would always journal stuff. I always had like, I graduated with 11 people. I'm from a small town. I always had a great group of guy friends no matter where I went. But for whatever reason, every couple of years, I would just have just a hater's hater come across my path. And so I was always really into history and sports. And so I would just really write things down, and I would just take either viral videos or, obscure films or historical examples and just break them down and understand them in just a different way. And so what was obsessed with was my business, and I'll get to the framework here in a sec, but I used to tell our guys, it's almost like a good song. You might not know the words or the lyrics, you just like the way the song makes you feel. And that was what I was obsessed with creating for our customers from beginning to end. So that if we wanted a review, if we needed a referral, we literally did the exact same thing as our competitors, but we were literally double the price because the way it felt to do business with us was just significantly different than the other companies in our area.
So doing business using this framework is like singing a song. I like that. So
Can be.
and so back to the framework again. I just really want to understand that piece inside this framework, which is a book, right, that you have put together that's documenting this framework. What can we expect inside this book?
So a lot of it starts with just getting back to who we are. I think we come into the world and come into business just with just so much excitement about potential in the future, and we're going to take over the world. And we either get bogged down or beat down with noise or competitors, or people can gaslight. Anyone with an internet connection can just log in and just say, blah, whatever it is. And I think sometimes we're so beat down, we don't even realize, like, just by reframing our thinking a little bit, it can put us, so getting our heart back, remembering who we are, getting back to like that, excited little kid is really a big part of that, and just think of when we can think back on like a moment, sometimes there's painful moments that we try to ignore or not think about, but those are gifts that we need to reflect on and drink deeply from, because that's where, for a lot of us, things changed. And when we can go back to those moments, sometimes it creates a snowball effect of where, oh, this is who I am, or, this is what I was meant, and it just kills our confidence or our heart. And so getting back to that and kind of just breaking it down, just write 3 or 4 pages on it, whether it was something that was done to you, maybe just an event that just happened that was outside of your control, and just marinating in that and going, okay, this happened. Now think about what happened after and your interpretation of that. And I think that's when you can really start to be free and put yourself on a different path.
Awesome. And who is this framework built for? Is it just entrepreneurs? Is it just anybody? Let's talk a little about who have you dedicated this framework to.
It's for business owners, especially in the online world, and like I said, I went through so much riffraff, just daily pain, that I started to look outward and see I really had to change my thinking and mind. And I just would dive so deep. And so I would look outward and see, oh my gosh, if this guy just did A, B, and C, you don't need to understand the layers of something. If you just follow this rule, just do this. It's like you could just put yourself in a completely different path. And that's when I looked outward, it was like, oh my gosh, like I want to help. You get excited. Like I realized, like, going to hell and back so that you don't have to, like, there was a purpose in that, And so I think the part after that, learning to just to just let go of certain things and let just things happen. I think so many times, we want to talk about ourselves or our reviews, and we're trying to, when we're in stressful or whatever, we talk about ourselves and we start thinking about how we feel. But when we make the conscious decision to look outward, to focus on Mrs. Jones, to pick up on the vibe of when you can offer huge amounts of relevant value, that's when you can be the warm, fuzzy blanket, right? They might not, it's like the good song. They might not know the words of the lyrics. They just like the way the song makes them feel. And so much of that starts with not focusing on how you think or hard selling on your whatever. It's about looking outwards and offering relevant value.
This podcast is sponsored by MeisterTask, the most intuitive task manager on the web. MeisterTask is an easy-to-use project management tool, makes it easy and fun and colorful to get all your projects managed in one place. As an entrepreneur, I use MeisterTask to help me manage all of my projects. I can drag and drop different tasks. I can assign key people to the task. I can set deadlines and schedules and enjoy just beautiful colors while I do that. So if you are interested in trying MeisterTask, go to meistertask.com/DMT tools. That's meistertask.com/DMT tools. And you can sign up for a free trial when you upgrade to the pro plan. So get started for free today and invite your team members and get productive together. And so how is this framework then different from some of the alternatives that are out there? I mean, I know folks might have access to other frameworks or books, mentors that sort of pour into them the same way that you're talking to us. How is the one that you have created different from those alternatives?
I don't know what's out there. I really don't. This is super specific. And like I said, sometimes it's the simplest piece of information that will just change everything for you. And so it's, for me, it's about quality over quantity. And so there will be a page at the bottom of that page is a QR code linking to a video just to be like, oh, okay, perfect. I get that. And it just changes your mindset. It changes your framework of how you think. And the things that you thought were problems is like, oh no, you leave that in the dust, man. Go over here, put yourself in a different trajectory because it's right there for the taking. Right. And so many of us get just bogged down in riffraff that simply, truly isn't relevant.
Yeah. So let's talk about something that we can actually do with this framework. So I've got the book, I'm looking through it, and I'm connecting with some of the things that you're speaking to. Tell us about some practical thing, maybe just one that we could do, like a use case of what we could do as a business owner from looking at this framework.
So I love the old concept of the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room, right? And I think when we can understand that, if you have a bombastic competitor like in your neck of the woods, don't defend yourself. And I think even just the nature of that, just simply being different, right? We're not, everyone's so loud and we want to talk about it in this online world of where it's, hey, so-and-so just got exposed, or hey, but when we can just simply by being different and let your competitor talk themselves into the ground, right? And that's when you create curiosity, like, like I wonder what's going on here. And if they want to put you in, if push comes to shove, defend yourself and talk about your reviews or your rewards, but why? I mean, you already know in your bones that you're the best, that you're the one for the job. And so when you can actually like I said earlier, look outward and kind of enter the spirit of that customer, that's when you're just a totally different thing than whatever else is out there. They don't quite know how to articulate it or understand it, but they know they like it. So I think that's a big thing, just by simply being different.
And so your framework helps a user to really own in on their difference, right? So those who are listening, if we're interested in this framework, accessing this, what should we need to do to get a piece of it, get a hold of it?
Go to carryingthefire.io/ebook. It's totally free and it works great on mobile. The videos and stuff you can access. It's like I said, sometimes it's the simplest piece of information that will just change everything for us.
And so what's the URL again?
carryingthefire.io/ebook.
carryingthefire.io/ebook.
ebook.
Awesome. And what's the name of the what name have you given to this framework? Have you named it?
Yeah, it's called Carrying the Fire.
Carrying the Fire. Okay, so that's that's it right there. So Carrying the Fire. The ebook is on the Carrying the Fire website. Just go to carryingthefire.com slash
.io.
I'm sorry, .io/ebook, right?
Yep.
And it's totally free. You said it's downloadable. You can download it and you can keep it. And you can use the information in it to help you to own in on your difference and help you to stay true to who you are. Just simple details that could change your life.
Simple details.
Forever.
And the tagline is you don't want to just win, you want to dominate. And sometimes it's just so much easier than you think. And so there's a lot of really specific examples that it's like, oh, I get that. I mean, we all want to win, and nobody. And so I think, love will always carry more weight than overt strength or power. And when you can understand that, and dives into that in the framework, but that's when it's like, okay, I don't need to talk about myself, and actually the things I'm not good at are actually strengths, and that's what's going to lower people's defenses and open them up for you to actually influence them.
Awesome. Well, I know staying in business for years is not easy. How have you done it though, and what would you say has been the best thing that has happened to you since?
I mean, really, the hell that I had to go through was really ended up being just a gift. I just had to dig deep daily. And, someone who had played sports and competed their whole life, I was resilient, but there was days where it was like, I did not sign up for this, and so, but really those hurdles is what's going to challenge our heart, challenge our mind, challenge our thinking. And digging deep to overcome those hurdles is that's what it's all about, man.
Awesome. Well, is there, and that's powerful, man. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd love to share with our listeners today?
I don't think so. I think we covered it, man.
All right, sweet. Well, I actually always have some questions to ask my guest, and one of those are books. I love books, and I love to know what kind of books you are reading or have read that really inspired you. So and podcasts too. So let's start with the books. So what books are you reading these days, or what you have read?
Gosh, there is a great history book. It's a really silly title, but if you want to just start to dabble in history, it's called The Great Big Book of Horrible Things. And man, it just covers everything from Rome to now. And it's just a great resource if you just want to have a foundational overview of just basic history. It's funny, it's easy to read, it's not too in depth. It's about 800 pages, but it is a great resource for anyone who wanting to learn history. Gosh, what else, man?
Nice.
Yeah. Gosh,
it's a great big book of horrible things.
Yep, it's by a guy named Matthew White. He's never done an interview. He's never written another book. It's just this great resource, and I can't get a hold of them for my podcast, but it's a great resource. Now, are you talking just business books or books in general?
Yeah, we're talking about any book that really has helped, that's really helped you.
Gosh,
we could dive into podcasts too. I mean, podcasts that has helped you that you're listening to. Our listeners love these kinds of resources because we're all in growth mode, and what has helped you could certainly help others. So
yeah, I'm trying to think. So I know what you're saying. Sometimes you find a great resource and it's like, gosh, like, man, that just changes everything. I'm not trying to change the subject, but do you know who Peter Schiff is?
Peter Schiff, I don't know the guy.
He's a big financial guy. He predicted the '08 crash. He's all over it. But when there was Occupy Wall Street, he took a camera and a microphone and just went into the middle of it and just started breaking things down for people. And it's like this 3-hour interview, but it's something I love to come back to, about the freedom of capitalism, the freedom of the market, and just allowing the market, we have freedom as entrepreneurs, and allowing the freedom of the market to just go, right? And for me, it really is something I come back to a lot, because it really changed my thinking about capitalism and offering value, because people will pay things for what they're worth. And it's very easy to go out and get what you're worth.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you have a podcast yourself, and what sort of podcast do you listen to?
Yeah, so I'm also still in the pet industry and part of the pet tech industry. And so a lot of my early episodes were interviews with a lot of very influential pet people. But now I'm kind of looking more outwards towards, just interesting things and interesting people. And so that's really what it's geared towards now.
Nice. Well, we're always looking for creators and master users of tools that really help them to grow, and love to pass those on to other businesses. Any recommendation of who should we talk to next? So who should we connect to next on this show to talk about something that they've really built or really mastered how to use, so that it can help others?
I know so many guys who have built multi-million-dollar companies and sold it just because of the principles of EOS and traction and all that stuff. So
sweet. Nice. Well, listen, man, it's great to have you stopping by, and great to connecting. Definitely won't be the last. Would love to check in on you a couple of weeks or so from now to see what you're up to. We want to just remind folks one more time, the URL to get to the ebook is free ebook that you've put together, really just sort of a amalgamation of your experience and some of the simple things that folks can really do to stand out. So remind us of the URL again before we head out.
carryingthefire.io/ebook.
So carryingthefire.io/ebook, right? There it is. I got it. So folks, go ahead to that. That actually is going to be in the show notes. You can download it from the show notes, and and check it out. Download the book. And we'd love to get your feedback as well as to what your thoughts are. Well, Shane, thank you for stopping by, man. We really appreciate it. This was a good conversation, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, my friend. We'll see you.
That was Shane talking to us from Michigan, talking about the framework, Carrying the Fire, that he has created to really help entrepreneurs owning on the difference. He's created this, and I'm hoping that you can find value in this ebook when you would have downloaded it. Do us a favor and subscribe to our podcast. Give us a rating. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know how we are doing. We'd love to be able to bring you more quality content so that we can continue to help you to choose a tool to really grow. So until next time, folks, don't forget to choose a tool to help you rule your growth. We'll talk soon.